thank you for joining me for this dose of virtual vitamin Z. My name is Sandy and I'm an education specialist, and I am joined today by Melissa, who is a mammal supervisor, and she is going to talk to us about the gorillas who you can see right now, as well as the fact that it is World Gorilla Day, and we are super excited it's World Gorilla Day. I also do want to mention this education program is brought to you by Meijer today. We are super grateful for their continued support. How are you this morning?
Great, how are you?
Good. So I currently see 2 gorillas. How many gorillas do we provide care for here at the Detroit Zoo?
We actually have 3 gorillas. Congo must be hiding on the other side of the hill from here. These are 2 of our boys, and they are all half brothers, which means they share the same father, and they were born in the Bronx Zoo.
Awesome. How can you tell them apart?
They all have different faces, just like people have different faces, but one of the biggest differences between them is their nose, and that's actually something that gorilla researchers in the wild will use to tell them apart from far distances, because their nose pattern looks very different between individuals. So you can see Chip has a little bit more of a reddish tinge on his head, and then he has, it's hard to see from here, but he has a little pink dot on his lower lip. He's also shorter in stature than the other 2 boys, so that's how we can tell him apart pretty easily. And then Pende is looking away from us right now, but you would be able to see that he has a very long face, much longer than Chip's. So he's probably the easiest one to identify for most people. And then Congo, who isn't joining us quite yet, is much taller and longer. He's got very long arms and very long legs. And he's the tallest out of all of the boys and the heaviest.
I imagine it's like, because you spend so much time with them, that you can pick out those different features with them, right?
Oh yes, it gets easier with time, and then you get used to being able to see a toe and tell who it is, because you spend so much time with them.
How long have you provided care for them?
I have been here at DZS for 14 years.
Oh. So you told me a little bit how you can pick them out by their features, but personality-wise, I imagine they have significantly different personalities.
They do have different personalities, just like we do. Chip here in the foreground, he kind of keeps to himself. Is a little more shy and reserved and watches things from a distance. And he's one of the lower dominant of the 3 boys. Well, Pende always has to know what's going on. He's a little bit of a goofball. If you're ever in the indoor viewing area and a gorilla bangs at the window at you, that's probably Pende. That's his game.
I have witnessed that myself.
Yes, he thinks it's funny. He can kind of hear when people shriek, and he will peer through the glass and know that there's people there to scare. He's a little jokester, and he's very curious as what's going on.
Awesome. So I see that you gave them a little bit of a snack. Mm-hmm. What was that snack that you gave them?
They got some cucumber chunks. They got their forage out here a couple hours ago when they came out for the day, which is a bunch of vegetables and greens. But I wanted to make sure that they were sitting over here for the Facebook Live, so that they weren't using the other area in their habitat, which is about an acre.
Absolutely. So you said forage, so what else do they eat?
They eat a lot of browse, which are leaves and tree branches, which we thankfully can get around the zoo for during the nice weather, and a lot of greens like romaine and endive and escarole, cabbage. Their diet is high in fiber and low in starch.
Okay.
So not a lot of starchy things like potatoes or carrots or fruit. Just a lot of greens and green vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower and greens.
So just to confirm, you didn't list any meat in there?
No meat at all.
So these gorillas, who are very large, they have to eat a lot of produce, I would imagine, right?
Correct. They eat a lot of produce to get that big and strong, so eat your vegetables.
And you can be strong like a gorilla.
Exactly.
There you go. I love it.
So they, as a group, when we scatter things in the habitat, they eat about almost 20 pounds of produce throughout the day.
Okay.
And then individually they get a breakfast and a dinner, and those add up to about 4 to 6 pounds per gorilla. So they eat quite a bit.
That's a lot of food.
Yeah, it's a lot. And that number varies depending on which gorilla it is. Chip, being lower dominance, might not eat as much of the forage, so he gets a little bit bigger of a dinner. And we also monitor their weights, and we'll make changes as we need to, like that.
Sure. So if I'm looking at their habitat, there's some really interesting structures. So I can see there's kind of like a moundy thing right there. What is that?
That's actually an artificial termite mound. There are holes in it that you can't really see from here, but we can put substances inside that are usually sticky, and they can use sticks to fish in there and get those substances out. The gorillas are a little bit iffy with it. They're not as good as the chimps are, but because we can switch the habitats, the chimps can come on this side, and you'll see the chimps using the tools a lot more frequently than the gorillas.
Sure.
They've got bigger hands and a little less dexterity to use the fine tools.
Sure. And then there's some like stone features over that way, and I've seen them, they sit on those, and they'll use it to kind of look around the habitat, yeah?
Yes, they can climb up on all of that rock work and in the cement trees in that habitat in order to look out in the distance, or they can use the rock as shade if the sun is extra warm. It's actually a beautiful day today for them to be outside. It's very mild weather. They like it like we do.
Yes. So what does a typical day look like for someone who's providing care for the gorillas?
Gorilla keepers get in really early in the morning, usually 6 or 7 o'clock, and we do our first checks of all of the animals and make sure that everybody looks healthy and is behaving normally. We prepare any medications that they are on. We have 2 gorillas on heart medications as a preventative measure because heart disease and cardiac problems are the leading cause of death in great apes. So we have them on those meds. They also get vitamins that they need. We prepare all of those and give them breakfast, and we also do another check at that time just in case there's any small cuts or anything that we notice. Then we come outside and prepare this outdoor habitat for them. We pick up the things from the day before. Chip is eating a browse stick right there, and they'll leave the part that they don't want, so we have to pick up those old sticks.
Gotta clean up after them a little.
Yes, we'll pick up all the old food and any waste that's out here. And then we will set up the yard with all of that forage and some more fresh browse sticks and enrichment throughout the yard, hidden in different places.
So when you say enrichment, what does enrichment mean?
Enrichment is anything that will encourage a natural behavior. So the browse that Chip is eating right now is enrichment for him. He would naturally go and eat leaves off of trees and things like that. We'll put small things like seeds in the grass so they have to look around and forage for them. We can use scents or sounds and anything that would appeal to any of their senses and cause them to do things that they normally would do.
To help encourage specific behaviors, right?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, so you were saying that you put out enrichment and then you do...
And then the gorillas come out.
So you don't go out with the gorillas?
No, we do not share the same space as the gorillas at the same time. So the gorillas are indoors while we are working outdoors and vice versa.
Okay. So even when you're doing those checks, there's some sort of barrier between you and the gorillas?
That's correct.
Okay. And you don't provide care just for the gorillas, correct? You provide care for the zookeeper and animal care staff who provides care for the gorillas. They would provide care for more than just the gorillas. They provide care for other animals as well.
Yes, our keeper staff that works with the gorillas also work with our 12 chimpanzees, our Japanese macaques, and our ringtail lemurs.
Okay.
And some of them even actually cross-train in other sections too.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
they know quite a bit.
Yeah. So today is World Gorilla Day. It's a very exciting day. One of the things that I know about gorillas is that they face a lot of threats in the wild. One of them involves kind of like poaching. Habitat loss is a big issue, and I also did a little bit of research and I realized that diseases such as Ebola can affect populations of gorillas as well, which I thought was really interesting.
That's correct. The biggest threat right now to gorillas is humans. They are building up and taking the forest down, so that takes away their natural habitat. They are susceptible to disease that humans have because they're so closely related to us. That's why we are always in the PPE with masks and gloves and using those precautions.
So pre-coronavirus, you were already wearing
Correct.
PPE. Okay, just checking.
They can get pretty much anything we can get.
Right.
If you hear them with the sniffles, you know you might get the sniffles too.
Sure.
So we have to be wary of that. And then something that really is important for gorillas and a focus during World Gorilla Day is there is a mineral inside of cell phones called coltan, and it is mined only where gorillas live. So it's important to use your cell phone to the extent of its life instead of getting the newest phone the minute it comes out. And when you do get a new phone, to recycle that one, because we can reuse the coltan in those portable electronics so that more does not have to be mined to make new cell phones. So we do have a recycling program here at the zoo, and we can collect the phones and then we will send them in. And you can always look for those boxes in the zoo.
Right, and so that collection process, or that collection program is called Gorillas on the Line.
Correct.
And if you've visited the zoo before, you may have seen those collection boxes. I believe there's 2 or 3 throughout the zoo.
Yeah, I believe there's 3. There's one in the front, Great Apes, and I believe in the FEC.
Yep, I believe it's in the Ford Education Center. There's one in the Ford Education Center as well. If people want to drop off phones, can they still do that?
Absolutely. We'll start collecting for next year. The Gorillas on the Line campaign concluded today for World Gorilla Day. We collected over 300 phones here at the Detroit Zoo. So thank you for anybody that turned those in. And we will start collecting for next year and keep those in our collection and start the count for next year.
Awesome. So I believe, and I think it's about 1,000 phones. So this year and last year we collected about 1,000 phones?
Yes, I think
Combined?
so. Last year we were able to collaborate with some schools and also with some corporations that did collections for us and then brought them here.
Which is so exciting. And it's
Yes.
such an easy thing to do, right? Like,
It's very easy. If you don't know what to do with that electronic device, we will recycle it.
absolutely. And taking a step and thinking like, hey, is my phone, I had a phone for 5 years, and towards the end of, I couldn't get online anymore. So then I had to get a new phone, but then I made sure to recycle it.
Absolutely.
But, like you said, not going and getting a new phone every year, because that's directly affects the gorillas who live in the wild. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
Not at this time. Just
Awesome.
come out and see the gorillas and help celebrate them and how unique they are and amazing they are. Kennedy's gonna steal the show.
I
He's
can't
sitting
get
out here posing.
He's just like
He's in the sun.
so ready for his day.
That's what he does.
He's camera ready,
He
Well,
always.
thanks so much for joining us for this dose of virtual vitamin Z. And please go and celebrate World Gorilla Day by using your devices responsibly and recycling them when you are done with them. Thanks again.